This is a commentary by Gedaly. Enjoy the movie!
This is a story about fried chicken, Hugo Chavez, arepas, and a goldfish. But most importantly, it's a story about me. 1930s, World War II. Jews escaped from all over Europe and came to the New World. Most countries shut them out, but Venezuela let them in, and it became my family's home. In the 90s, my mom and dad decided to briefly leave the country so my dad could study to be a doctor. During that time, Hugo Chavez came into power. Who's Hugo Chavez? He's the beginning of the end. Hugo Chavez became president in 1999. Chavez was the second most impactful thing to happen during this time. The first was, of course, me. When I was born, my parents immediately returned to Venezuela, now with extra baggage. I was welcomed by a huge family. At the time, I was the youngest, so I became the center of attention. As I started to grow, my family nicknamed me Pate Pollo, or chicken legs, which is kind of ironic when you consider where I ended up. I loved everything about Venezuela. I loved the people, the weather, the mountains, the beaches, and most importantly, the food. In 2002, riots and protesting broke out and led to the overthrowing of Chavez. The country then went into a momentary panic. This gave people hope that the country was going to change for good. Chavez was back in office the next day. That's when we decided to move. The change was jarring for me. The love and safety I felt around my humongous Venezuelan family was replaced with a goldfish from Memphis, Tennessee.
¿Y qué hablan en el colegio?
En inglés.
Habla un poquito en inglés para grabar cómo hablas en inglés.
Hello. Bye bye.
That's it?
Not being able to speak English didn't exactly help my situation. For the first couple months of school, I didn't say a word. Thanks to my good friends at Disney and Pixar, I quickly learned English and let loose. Andres became Andrew, Andre, Andreas, and Angus. After a year, we packed up and moved to Lexington, Kentucky. Yeah, I know, Kentucky. See the irony yet? The small number of friends I'd made, including my goldfish, which had come to an untimely demise, were gone and I was alone. That's when I began to beg my parents for a dog. They gave me a brother instead, and we've been in Lexington ever since. This one time, my grandpa came to visit with a magician's kit in hand. We put on shows for the rest of my family any chance we could.
Sopla! Sopla para que vaya para acá! Oh! Oh! Oh!
It always felt like my family would disappear in the blink of an eye when they left. I always tried to summon them back into existence, but to my surprise, it never really worked. At school, making friends was difficult for me because I never really fit in. I was too American for Venezuela and way too Venezuelan for America. Hearing the stories from my relatives about what it was like to grow up in Venezuela made me feel like I missed out on something great. I constantly have longing for a place I only knew as a young child, like there's a piece of me that's missing. I think a lot about what would have happened if I had stayed in Venezuela. How would my dad operate in a country with no medicine? How would I grow up in a place where people are murdered and stolen from every day? In a place with little to no food, a place where the economy is falling apart. I'd be on the streets risking my life. Since the death of Chavez and the installation of his successor, Nicolás Maduro, things have gotten much, much worse. If Chavez is the beginning of the end, Maduro is the end of the end. Thousands of people who live in Venezuela feel the same way I do. What I miss isn't a place, it isn't a piece of land, and it isn't a country. It's a feeling. A feeling of belonging, a feeling of pride. The feeling I get when I take a bite out of an arepa.
This is my second video. Hope you people enjoy it, and bye-bye. Oh, and by the way, this is what I like to call Andres' mixed movies. That's my brother. Bye. This is stuff I like to do. Can you see me? Okay, is the camera still rolling?